Hello, you gorgeous individuals. It's Kav here, and today we are going to be doing a chatting video where we discuss some ARCs I got. So basically, I got a ton of May ARCs. Okay, I got 5. That's not really a ton. But I got a decent amount of May ARCs, and I realized that trying to make a review for each of them would be really impossible. I do have Goodreads reviews for all of the books I'll be talking about, so I'll be linking those in the description. But for this one, it's going to be similar to a vlog style haul where I'm just going to be walking around and chatting a little bit about the books so that I still get to promo them, but without making like 15-minute long videos, since that's a lot of work. And my girlfriend wants you all to know that she's the one filming this video, so I'll link her blog and Goodreads in the description below as well, because you'll probably hear her voice in this video. She'll probably make some cameos. So the first book that I have to show you all is My So-Called Bollywood Life by Nisha Sharma. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. My So-Called Bollywood Life is a book about an Indian teen, Winnie Mehta, who has this kind of prophecy that her family has for her, that a pundit gave to them, basically saying that there is a very certain man she's going to meet that's going to be the person she ends up with, and this man's name will start with an R. She will meet him before she turns 18, and he will give her a very special silver bracelet. So she has this prophecy she's working towards, and there's this man Raj in her life who meets all of these, so they've been dating for a while, and then he cheats on her. And that's kind of how the book starts. And in the midst of all this, she's also trying to find her independence and the fact that she wants to be a film critic, and Raj is not very supportive of that want from her. And then throw in Dave, who is the other part of this love triangle, who is a new character, but he doesn't exactly meet all the requirements, considering the fact that his name is Dave. He and Winnie start forming this connection, and it's kind of about their journey together. So as I said, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and overall I really enjoyed it. I think that it has a very heavy focus on romance, so if you don't like romance, you might not like this book very much, but if you are someone who likes romance, I think you'll really enjoy it. And there are a ton of Bollywood references in it, which I think are just adorable, and the romance was so swoon-worthy, and it was predictable. It's a predictable novel, but it is very adorable, and I love Winnie's character because I think she really goes through a very exceptional journey in this book in terms of finding her independence while balancing that out with her romance life, and just also the dynamics of family that played into it, because her parents and her grandma are a huge part of the story, and I love when there are great supporting characters, plus her amazing best friend who was also another great character of this book. So there are just so many wonderful things about it. As I said, it has a very heavy focus on romance and is predictable, which is why I docked 1 star, but overall I really enjoyed it and would recommend it.
Dog cameo.
The next book I'm going to be talking about is Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and it is now one of my new favorite books that I've read this year, and probably of all time.
Girlfriend would like to second this statement, by the way. It's one of my favorite books. I love it so much.
So Girl Made of Stars is a very hard novel to read, so before I even get into it, I want to give a huge trigger warning for rape, because both the main character and a very good friend of hers deal with rape and sexual assault, so that's kind of the main premise of this book. So if you can't handle that theme, you might want to skip this section and you might not want to read this book. But if you can handle it, let's chat a little bit about it. So basically we have our main character, Mara, and her friend Hannah accuses her twin brother, Owen, of raping her. This is a big struggle for Mara because she and Owen are very close, so she doesn't want to believe that her brother would do something like this, but she also wants to believe Hannah, both as a feminist and as a good friend. She wants to believe the victim in this situation and believe that her story is the truth. So Mara has to battle this while also coming to terms with her experiences with sexual assault in her past, and along with this, she's dealing with her kind of romance best friend situation with her best friend Charlie, who is genderqueer. She and Charlie dated, and then they broke up, and with all of this stuff with Hannah and with Mara dealing with these feelings for Charlie, she undergoes a huge transformation in this novel, and I loved it with all of my heart. First of all, I think that this is a very timely novel because with things like the Me Too movement and such going on right now, discussions about rape and sexual assault are so important. They're important always, but I think especially now that there's more open dialogue, this is a great time for a novel like this to come out, no pun intended. And the discussion of rape is done so well in this novel. In the author's note at the end, Blake talks about why she tackled it the way she did, and I think that can express it far better than I ever could, so I highly recommend reading the author's note and getting a full idea of what she wanted to accomplish and what I think she did accomplish. As for the romance aspect of this novel, Charlie's the best genderqueer rep I have ever seen. And no, Blake herself has not come out as genderqueer, but regardless of that, she did some sort of great research or something, because the representation of how Charlie feels about her gender and her experience was so relatable to me, and that meant the world to me, being seen in that way. So for a variety of reasons, I think you should read this book, because I think it tackles everything perfectly. It tackles Mara's experience, it tackles Charlie's experience, it tackles Hannah's experiences perfectly, and it also is just a great character arc for all of these different characters, because it's really a character-based story, and I think it really gets to the bottom of these characters. The next book I have to share with you all is Ship It by Britta Lundin, and unfortunately I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. Ship It is a novel about a main character, Claire, who is a fan fiction writer and a huge fandom person who goes to a con in Boise, Idaho, which is really close to where she lives, and she goes to a panel for the show that she really loves, Demon Heart. As part of this show and as part of her experience as a fan fiction writer, she ships a male-by-male couple of Smoky Heart, which are the 2 main characters on the show. At the con, she asks a question to the panelists, asking them if Smoky Heart will ever become canon, and the actor laughs her off and basically calls her crazy. So this leads to a lot of bad publicity, so their reaction is to invite Claire to go on the rest of the tour with them in order to fix that publicity, and in the meantime, Claire is also discovering her own sexuality while falling for a girl. Now that premise sounds amazing, because fandom and queerness, what more could you want from a book? But the execution was not as good. So this novel is told in 2 points of views, Claire and Forrest, who is the actor who laughs her off. And both of them are unlikable narrators. And I love unlikable narrators, I love morally gray characters, but I also think that they need to know that they're morally gray. They can't think that they are perfect. And Claire seems to have this belief that she can do no wrong and that everything she believes is right. Whereas in the book, she goes about a lot of different ways trying to force this ship to become canon that are very questionable. First of all, both Forrest and Claire have a ton of internalized homophobia that both of them need to work through, and whereas Forrest's internalized homophobia is challenged, Claire's never is. And I think part of it is also because she's discovering her sexuality, so the fact that she ends up coming out as queer makes it okay that she falls into these stereotypes of what lesbian people should be and stuff. But just because you're queer, that doesn't negate you dealing with internalized homophobia, and that needs to be called out as well. Next, in order to make this ship canon, she blackmails people, she risks Forrest's job, she writes real person fanfic about Forrest and the other actor Rico, which is questionable on its own, but she also uses intimate details Forrest told her as a friend. Whereas I want queer representation in media, there's a way to go about it that doesn't require making all these questionable moral behavioral choices, and even if she did make them, there was no point where she took any responsibility for her actions. She kind of just got everything tied up in a pretty bow at the end and she got what she wanted. And then in terms of her relationship with the love interest Tess, who is a homoromantic pansexual black character, which, great representation, right? Unfortunately, that's not how it went about. At first, I really liked this relationship because I thought, oh wow, 2 cute girls in a relationship, that sounds adorable. That's not how it was executed. And there's one specific scene that happened that really ruined the relationship for me. And basically, Tess is not really open to her friends about her fandom lifestyle, and Claire thinks that she should be able to. And yes, she should be able to, and it's sad that she's not. But it's not Claire's decision to make about when or if she tells her friends about it. But when Claire meets Tess's friends, she basically outs Tess's fandom life to her friends, and she never takes any responsibility for that. And then a page later, Tess outs Claire as gay to her mom, and whereas she apologizes for that, I cannot get on board with a relationship where they are not supporting and understanding of each other. So I think that this novel had a ton of potential, but it just didn't execute it well, and I think that if you do plan to read it, please know that it's very harmful in terms of queer rep and huge trigger warnings for major homophobia in it. The next book I have to share with you all is The BRIGHTSIDERS by Jen Wilde, and on a great turn of events, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. So, The BRIGHTSIDERS is a book about a main character, Emmy, who is a drummer for a band called The BRIGHTSIDERS, and she's kind of a disaster buy. She's like the disaster buy trope, but in the best way possible.
Just like you.
And there's nothing the paparazzi loves more than a disaster teen to rake through the mud, and they choose to do that with Emmy. So she has to go through a bit of a journey in this novel. First of all, I want to give a huge trigger warning for abuse. I think the abuse narrative is handled very well, but there is an abusive romantic relationship and abusive parents in this novel, so do be aware of that if that triggers you in any way. I think in a way this novel is also a character-based novel that takes us through Emmy's journey. So she first has to deal with her abusive relationship and deal with how to get out of that, and then she also has to deal with how to deal with her abusive parents. So both of those narratives are very important to her, and then throughout the novel she also ends up getting in a relationship with her genderqueer best friend Alfie, and he is the cutest. He's another member of the Brightsiders, and their relationship is literally so swoon-worthy. I was like crying when they were kissing. I was like, I ship this so hard, just be happy and date. And speaking of that, this novel is so good at casual diversity. Emmy's best friend is a non-binary black character who uses they/them pronouns, and then the other member of the band is a Korean-American bi character who ends up in a male-by-male romance by the end of this novel. Then there's Emmy's relationship with Alfie, which has two great queer characters in it. So this novel is like the poster child for casual diversity, which is a good thing to be a poster child for. Both the bi rep and the genderqueer rep are own voices, so that is another huge plus. And Jen says in either the author's note or the acknowledgements that Alfie is the genderqueer kid of her heart, so that is adorable. And honestly, I don't really know what to say other than the fact that this book just handles everything well, because it's this great character arc that deals with such serious issues while also throwing in a swoon-worthy romance and having great supportive friends and showing that friends can really be your family. And I also think it tackles the media part and the kind of celebrity part of this book well in terms of Emmy being from a popular band. So everything about it is just great, and also it has the bi flag colors on the cover, so why would you not read it?
Hi, doggo.
The last book I have to share with you all is From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon, and as you all can probably guess if you know anything about me, I gave this novel a 6 out of 5 stars. From Twinkle with Love is Sandhya Menon's second novel, and it is about a main character, Twinkle Mera, who is a filmmaker, as you can probably tell by this amazing cover. So she is a filmmaker, and she is kind of a wallflower type character. She's kind of a quiet character. She doesn't really talk to the popular kids or anything. Kind of stereotypical in that way, but I also think that we need to acknowledge that marginalized people don't get to see themselves in the same stereotypical tropes, and we can only really get rid of those tropes when all people have had a chance to see themselves in that role, and From Twinkle with Love is a great way of balancing stereotypes and originality. So as I was saying, she is kind of a stereotypical character in her wallflower-esque journey, and she has a crush on this very popular guy, Neil, who has a twin brother, Sahil, who kind of likes Twinkle. So there's a little bit of a love triangle action here. The romance is so swoon-worthy, just like the Brightsiders, and I genuinely think it might be more swoon-worthy than when Nickel met Rishi's romance, because I had so many feelings while reading this on the plane. I was like crying in the best way possible. And Twinkle's also dealing with crap from her best friend Maddie, because they have a little bit of a falling out when Maddie starts hanging out with the popular kids. And you might be thinking, oh no, does this fall into the girls hating on other girls trope? And I was actually really afraid of that too. But it actually handles that so well, because Twinkle makes another great, fantastic girlfriend in this book. And I mean, girl space friend, not the gay way. But they have such a power female supporting female friendship. And there's also a good conclusion with Maddie and the popular girl in this book that really sets it up very nicely. I don't want to give spoilers, so I don't want to tell you how it ends, but just know that it doesn't fall into that horrible trope. And another really cool aspect of this book is that it's told in letters to Twinkle's favorite female directors, and a lot of them are also women of color directors. So the format is so interesting, and it's so easy to read. Like, it's an easy to read novel with these great characters and this great character arc. I think that Twinkle is a very relatable main character to a lot of people, especially us nerds. In the book community, a lot of us don't necessarily go as popular people, so I think it can be really relatable in that sense. And I also think that Twinkle's character arc is really strong because she makes a lot of questionable choices in this book, and she makes a lot of stupid choices, but there are conclusions to them. She has to take accountability for her actions, and she has to deal with what she's done and get through it, and she has to take responsibility and be like, oh crap, I screwed up. So this book is great for a variety of reasons, and my name is in the acknowledgements, so that's an extra reason to read it. Okay, so those are all the arcs I got to read in May. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to have read so many arcs, because that is a huge privilege of being a part of the book community, and none of that would be possible without you all. So thank you all so much for your support, because no one would be sending me ARCs if there weren't people out there listening to me chat about them. And as I said, all of my more in-depth Goodreads review will be linked in the description if any of these books strike your interest and you'd like to hear more about them. And I hope you guys like this format of a video. It was different, but I wanted to do something different to celebrate these ARCs. So definitely check out any of these books if you're interested. I'll also have links to where you can purchase them in the description below if you have the ability to do so. But do be aware of any trigger warnings I gave. I'll also have those linked in the description below. And outside of that, that's all I had for this video. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe because that stuff makes me happy. Go ahead and comment down below and let me know if you have read any of these books. What did you think about them? Or are you going to pick up any of these books? And if so, which one? And as usual, all of my social media and my Goodreads link will be linked in the description below as well. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you're having a lovely day and night wherever you are. Please remember that you are beautiful and leaders of the world. And I will see you soon for another video. Goodbye!
Also follow Cobb on Goodreads because a top 25 Goodreads reviewer, hey, it's me, is telling you to because their reviews are amazing and really underrated. So, yeah.
Goodbye.